Hello everybody, thank you for joining me today. If you are new, my name is Katie and this is my YouTube vlog, Rouse Rising. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I do my shaping and final shaping of my sourdough bread boules. I'm doing a bulk batch today, and the loaf, or the amount of dough that I'm dividing right now, is a double batch of my sourdough bread recipe, and I'm going to cut it into quarters. At first I start out cutting it into half, and then I cut it into one of the halves into half again, and then I weigh it, and I weigh it out to be between 700 and about 710 grams. And I take off the extra and add it to the dough, and then I throw it down on the table, and I'll get to the pre-shaping in just a minute. Weigh the next one, make sure it's between 700 and 710 grams. I split the other half of the dough into the last 2 quarters. Lay it out, make sure it's the right weight. That doesn't look very good. Does it taste all right? To shape the dough for the first shaping, what I like to do is put my blade on one side of the dough and just kind of slide the dough towards myself or push the dough away. And that will bring the dough around tighter around itself, making a nice ball. And I just kind of go around all 4 sides or wherever it needs a little bit more tightening and slide my blade underneath of it, pushing the dough in the direction, in the opposite direction. And that seems to work really well for me to make a nice tight shaped ball and tuck the dough underneath. After the initial shaping, I like to cover my dough with a damp cloth for the 30 minutes that it requires to rest. While I'm waiting on the dough to rest, I am getting out my linen-lined baskets and sprinkling them with some flour. After the dough rests, I sprinkle it with a little bit of flour. I use my bakery scraper to flip the dough, and then I grab one side and I fold over, and I do the same all the way around 4 times, stretching and folding the dough over, giving it a nice good press down around the edges so it all seals nicely. Then I sprinkle with a bit more flour just to keep the dough from sticking in the baskets. Remember, the baskets are also sprinkled with flour. Make sure all the areas are coated. Then I put it into my basket and I wrap the fabric around it fairly snugly so that the dough doesn't kind of fall apart or melt. I like to keep my dough together nice and firm. And then what I'm going to do is pop it in the refrigerator for 4 hours or overnight. I prefer to let my dough sit in the fridge overnight. Baskets into a plastic bag, and then I leave them overnight and I bake them first thing in the morning. And I have found that that provides me the best fermentation and oven spring. The next step is to preheat the oven to 500 degrees, keeping the dough in the refrigerator until it's time to bake. I am using a straight blade razor, and I'm just going to score the dough across the top, and I make 3 lines in an oval shaped loaf so that I get nice bread loaf shapes. And the little dashes that I'm making, that just helps my bread knife to hook up with the smooth surface of the dough. It just kind of breaks that surface area up so that my knife has something to grab onto to start cutting. And I'm going to do the same thing to this loaf, making my 3 lines across and then my 3 little slits in each section. Next, I'm just going to place the dough into my preheated Dutch ovens, and then it's going to bake at 500 degrees for 15 minutes with the lid on. Then I turn the heat down to 425 with the lid still on, and then for 10 minutes, and then for the last 7 to 10 minutes, I take the lid off.